A lot of people make fun of women for buying so many shoes, and I'm like, I've got twice as many shoes as my wife does, you know? Sometimes I'll get the shoe halfway done and be like, no, this sucks. And then I'll strip it down and redo it.
Every journey needs a first step.
Like, I remember the days when I would go camp out for a Jordan, you know, overnight until Saturday morning.
Years later, Billy Hobbs is finding himself camping in his basement.
I had one pair I did, it took me 25 hours to do. Yeah, and I didn't get compensated for those 25 hours.
A basement turned studio exclusively for customizing shoes. Hobbs is an artist and founder of True Blue Customs.
I was always into art, like art class, and I never really did much painting. It was always like drawing, pencil, and stuff like that.
He started customizing sneakers for his son and friends.
Had a few customers in like New York and Chicago that I was doing Air Force Ones for, and they were just like random themes, you know, and it was just like printable fabric, cut out, glued on the shoes, you know, kind of generic and kind of horrific, actually, if I look back on them now. They were pretty bad.
But the effort kicked off a solid side hustle. He took his work to social media to attract other sneakerheads, showing off his shoe game on Instagram.
Tyler Eulis reached out and was like, hey, can you do a pair of shoes for me, like a pair of Jordans? And I'm like, oh yeah, that's awesome, you know, cool.
But it was one pair that made him hit the ground running.
All eyes on Kentucky that year. And, you know, he wore those and I was like, holy crap, what have I got myself into?
In 2015, NBA player and former UK Wildcat Willie Cauley-Stein made rounds on the internet for his performance in the NCAA tournament.
He dunked on a dude and like nobody knows where the dude's at now. He murdered him.
All while wearing the sneakers Hobbs' hands designed.
The gold patent leather, whenever they were gaudy, bright. The soles I dyed blue. I put Trill on the inside of one shoe and then WCS on the other.
A magical dunk that turned a sneaker sensation into a booming business.
I think it was a Thursday night. I went to bed, had like 3,000 or 4,000 followers, you know, something kind of small. I woke up the next morning, my email inbox was flooded. I had like 10,000 followers. It just jumped up like, because every sneaker blog picked them up. And at that point I was like, this is real. Like, these people are crazy. You know, people really love this stuff.
It was a craze that was hard to ignore.
I seriously sat in this chair.
They call him their miracle baby.
He liked to make you laugh.
Doctors told Dewey and Christy Bishop it was a high-risk pregnancy, but Matthew defied the odds.
He was always so energetic and outgoing as a kid.
Like many boys, he loved sports. Football and wrestling were his favorites. But Matthew was depressed, and last August, just after his 21st birthday, he attempted suicide.
The morning we got the phone call was my birthday.
It was August 5th. The Bishops spent 2 days at Matthew's bedside at a hospital in Lexington. He never regained consciousness and died on August 7th.
It was worse when we got there than I thought it would be, because I held out hope that it wasn't as bad as they were telling us.
In the back of all of our minds was the fact that there was a family out there who was going through the worst time in their life.
As Dewey and Christy were saying their goodbyes, David Barber got a late-night phone call from doctors in Lexington. He'd spent 10 months on the heart transplant list and was soon on his way from Cincinnati to prep for surgery.
So immediately there's a little panic and it's time to go.
The decision to donate Matthew's organs came easy for the Bishops. They say he was always a giver and donated blood each time there was a blood drive at his school. Matthew donated 7 organs. 42-year-old David got his heart. His liver went to a 53-year-old woman. Both lungs were transplanted into a 63-year-old man. Matthew's right kidney went to a 35-year-old man, and his left kidney and pancreas were donated to a 37-year-old man. The Bishops are hoping to meet Matthew's other recipients.
So as
You know, when you think of bourbon, you think of Kentucky. Well, when you think of caviar and top quality caviar, you need to be thinking of Kentucky.
Forget the foreign fish. There are caviar carriers calling these Western Kentucky waters home.
We want the whole nation, Kentucky is on the map.
80% of the company's product goes to New York City, another 15% lands in the West Coast and California, and the other 5% finds itself in Chicago and Miami.
The misconception about caviar is the price of it, and how everybody thinks that if you're in caviar, somehow you're rich, and that's just not true. There are a lot of hands in that cookie jar. It's like the stock market. It's up and down, and it changes within a matter of days, hours.
Business is booming for this bluegrass boy, but Commonwealth caviar consumption needs to catch up.
We want to sell it all in Kentucky if we can. That's when I'll be successful.
A tall order this egg expert is taking on each and every day.
If I use the analogy of a ladder, I hope I'm just stepping on that first rung, and I want to climb to the top.
Part of its mission statement is educating, equipping, and empowering women shooters. There are 345 chapters in 47 states, including 8 in Indiana and 5 in Kentucky.
Something I thought, that might be nice, a group of women where we can get together and shoot together.
Once a month, Hebron leads a group of nearly 40 women at the gun range, teaching them gun handling and safety. More women stepping up to shoot, she says, began about a decade ago.
Before we had the Well-Armed Woman, I wasn't aware of any female shooting organizations.
Hebron says the age of her members spans 50 years, from women in their 20s to their 70s. Some have different reasons for being here, but there is a common theme: women wanting to be more self-aware.
Sometimes it's grandkids.
Sports Foundation found in 2016, women made up 23% of the $44 billion retail market. That's up from 16% in 2010. But does having a gun in your home make it safer for your family? The Giffords Law Center reports having a gun in the home offers an increased risk of there being a homicide by a family member, and guns are more likely to be involved in an assault, attempted suicide, or an unintentional shooting than to be used to injure or kill someone in self-defense. But for Estevez, the benefits of knowing what to do if confronted with another scary situation outweighs the consequences.
Red zone. Cats throwing cans, cards throwing birds. It may never be one of the bigger rivalries in college football, but in this state, it matters by a lot. Kentucky leads the all-time series 16-15, but that's with the Cats winning 6 of those before Kentucky was hoping to spoil that and build off a fairly successful 8-win 2006 season. Kentucky and its fans were optimistic, as evidenced by all these billboards put up in Jefferson County: "Believe in Blue." The hype was there, the stadium was packed, and the game couldn't have started any better for Kentucky. With the help of a couple turnovers, Louisville spotted the Cats 13 points early. The Cards, led by Brian Brom, would punch back though and went into the locker room leading by 2. Kentucky's opening drive gave them back the lead, but Brom wouldn't even have to step on the field for Louisville to go back ahead. The teams would trade scores again, and leaving Kentucky with the ball down 1 with 1:45 left to play. Kentucky converted it to O.J. Simpson. The Trojans would deny the Hoosiers of an upset. Still, IU would finish with 9 victories on the season, a win total the program has yet to see again. Sure, intermittently there have been good seasons in the last 52 years. In 1979, a dramatic win in the Holiday Bowl for their first ever bowl win. From 1988 to 1991, Bill Mallory led his Hoosiers to 5 straight bowl games, the last of which being the Cotton Bowl, where Indiana trounced Baylor 24-0. What these players didn't know as they celebrated that this would be the last bowl victory the program will see for at least 28 years. A lot of things have happened since 1991. Indiana winning a bowl game is not one of those things.
Cans out of the case, and then that's what I can sell you.
Currently, microbreweries can sell 288 ounces of beer. That's 24 cans at 12 ounces a can to any single customer a day. The bill would allow them to sell up to 31 gallons of beer. That's 2 kegs worth.
I want people to leave the tap room having a good experience.
Could be the key that solves a crime.
So here's how it works. You call the simple number 582-CLUE. It's open 24 hours a day. Someone will always answer. Callers get a code number. That's important. That's the only way Crime Stoppers will be able to identify you. If your tip leads to an arrest, you'll be rewarded up to $1,000 in cash. How do you get it while still remaining anonymous? Well, that's where that code number comes back into play. A payoff person meets you at a designated location. Once they confirm the code number, you're handed an envelope of money.
And it's worked well
strikes that we've seen the entire season.
On it, no chance, and he finds the back of the net. Rasmussen finds the back of the net.